Thank you, everyone, for having me here. I'm so excited and really, truly honored and privileged to be here. This is not my first time in Argentina in the Web3 space. I was here in May after first coming down to South America in March for ETHLatam, where most of the attendees were from Argentina. And I was like, what's going on here? And came down to realize that really the heart of Web3 is beating here, and some really big Web3 household names like Proof of Humanity, Claros, Open Zeppelin, many others came out of Argentina. So I'm very excited to be here. I care deeply about the better world that the global Web3 community is building, and I truly believe in the potential for the future to come out of this country. So thank you for having me here. My Web3 journey started in 2012 when I was regulating Bitcoin as a financial crime in Canada's finance department. And so I've come a long way on that journey. I am a political scientist by training, and I studied federalism and decentralized governance. So eventually, when I learned about proof-of-stake protocols, my tune on crypto changed, and here I am now on behalf of LivePeer, and excited to talk to you about why I think what we're doing at LivePeer and what other projects in the Web3 infrastructure stack are doing and why that matters. So how did we get here? I'm sure a lot of people have seen different framings of Web 1 to Web 2 to Web 3, but basically we are still operating on Web 1. The internet remains the connectivity layer that allows blockchains to communicate with one another, and Web 2 really saw the first business attempts to monetize applications on the internet, and I think we can probably all agree that there have been some bad outcomes emerging from Web 2. I've listed them here. I think economically, the Web 2 digital economy has led to a greater inequality globally. Politically, the San Francisco kill switch and the ability for unaccountable CEOs of Twitter and other large global platforms to remove people from their platforms at will is a problem. And the attention economy that's driven by, again, the Web 2 business model of having to sell ads to users has created a lot of human problems for our mental health and well-being. So we have a tall order of problems to try and solve in Web 3, but I really do believe that coupled with the open source internet principles of Web 1 and the new primitives that blockchain and crypto give us can really help us build a better internet together. So my core pitch to you is that Web3 is about utility. It's not about speculation. And I really want to try and run through this theme of what I think utility in Web3 means and why we need to move away from this version of Web3, which is a purely DeFi degen view of the world, which is really about pump and dumping your bags and your tokens. So why does Web3 beyond DeFi matter? I think the stakes are pretty high. I think Tornado Cash, which has been on a lot of people's minds, and there was a great talk about that yesterday, is a really indicative example of the risk to the whole sector when we don't convey the public value and the public good and the public utility of what we're building. Today, regulators continue to see crypto as money and scams, and I think it's our job to communicate what's under the hood and why there's so much more there. And the stakes for this are really high when we think of proof of stake and the merge coming. The treatment of staking rewards as either property or income really matters. And again, if we think of crypto and Web3 as purely a money game, we're gonna look at proof of stake rewards as taxable income and not necessarily as a piece of a global public utility that we all can own as represented by a cryptocurrency. And so I think as a Web3 community, we have to ask, can decentralized governance actually lead to decentralized regulation? And I'm going to go through maybe how we can think about doing this with the example of video, which is the one that I know well working at LivePeer, to really think about how can we in a Web3 world use the internet together and keep each other safe and happy in a trustless, decentralized way without the government having to tell us what will make us safe and happy. And so the Web3 Index is a collective of Web3 infrastructure projects that LivePeer was part of founding that have come together to report on demand-side fees being paid into their networks, which is an indicator of real usage. So the Web3 Index includes LivePeer, which does decentralized video processing, the Graph, which does decentralized search and query, Helium, which is a protocol for deploying and managing wireless networks, Akash, which is the world's first open source cloud, and many more projects we hope will be listed in the future. And so the Web3 Index is about valuing the decentralized web, and it applies a fundamental index methodology, which is very different than the total value locked, or TVL, metric that most DeFi indexes would use. And today, each project on the Web3 Index is self-reporting on fees earned by each project, but we hope that those metrics will evolve over time as more projects join and other projects can determine what metrics are most relevant for them. So the vision for the Web3 infrastructure community is really fully decentralized apps leveraging a fully decentralized Web3 stack. And the vision is that all of the mechanical infrastructure enabling Web3 can be abstracted so that developers can focus on higher level problems around product development and user experience. And this is really about the composability of Web3 as well, where anyone in any part of the world can build applications tailored to their markets and communities. And so we're really excited at LivePeer to be part of this stack. We partner a lot with other projects because we know that to have one decentralized video application, you need to use 5, 6, 7, many parts of the Web3 infrastructure stack as well. So if you're not on the Web3 stack, you're probably not a Web3 app. And this is something that I'm seeing increasingly with projects coming into the metaverse space, asking what are the principles that make an open, decentralized metaverse different than the Web 2 metaverse. And so we need to be constantly thinking about what that stack is going into applications. So the example I want to run through is LivePeer. And what part of the web is LivePeer decentralizing and making available to developers to build applications? Well, it's video, and video happens to be the biggest computational load on the web. Today, video accounts for about 80% of all internet bandwidth, and an explosion of online video will triple bandwidth consumption again in the next 5 years. And so, yeah, processing video is the most expensive thing to do on the web. It's the highest demand part of compute on the web. And how does video streaming work today? Well, broadcasters who want to deliver video to their audience, no matter where they are, need to process it so that it can be, need to transcode it into different formats to be received on any device with any bandwidth anywhere in the world. And today there are only a handful of cloud providers, primarily Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, that can transcode and deliver video at scale. And the big cloud providers know that smaller players simply don't have enough data centers around the world or enough processing power to compete for the large-scale video streaming, allowing the big providers to overcharge for their commodity service. So how is LivePeer decentralizing video infrastructure? Well, we are obviously leveraging blockchain technology. We are a proof-of-stake protocol on the Ethereum network, and we have a global network of orchestrators or node operators who provide their excess GPU compute power to do video transcoding. And we also have a decentralized peer-to-peer content delivery network, which is the other critical and very expensive piece of the video infrastructure stack when you're trying to stream video on the internet. And so the LivePeer token, LPT, is the crypto economic incentive in the LivePeer network to provide this decentralized internet infrastructure. And as node operators, orchestrators receive inflationary LPT rewards, and they also earn fees on the network. Today, you earn fees in Ethereum, but in theory, you can earn fees in any currency. And so if you don't want to run your own node on the LivePeer network, you can be a delegator, and you can delegate your LivePeer token to an orchestrator, and delegators also earn rewards on the protocol. And so this is the LivePeer Explorer, where you can connect your wallet, you can delegate to an orchestrator, you can see the performance of the network, you can see fees paid into the network, a participation rate, inflation, all that fun stuff. And so LivePeer's decentralized infrastructure is a more scalable and cost-effective solution to keep up with rapid growth in demand for video on the web. And it scales infinitely, and as I mentioned, monetizes really the glut of untapped compute resources that are enabled by blockchain. And today, yeah, the amount of compute, hello. What just happened? Hey, okay, we're back. So the amount of compute on the LivePeer network today rivals that of what's on the Amazon cloud compute, which is pretty impressive. And the bottom line that this gets to is we're about 10 times cheaper than any other centralized Web3 service because we're able to decentralize and access that compute power. So yeah, a Twitch-like application running 1,000 concurrent streams a month on a Web2 stack would cost about $300,000 versus about $45,000 on an open Web3 stack. And so the LivePeer network's been seeing incredible growth over the last year. We're now transcoding about 2.7 million minutes of video a week, which is significant. And the big driver for this is through the gateway to the LivePeer network, LivePeer Studio, which is a suite of video developer tooling that allows anyone to build video applications accessing that low-cost, reliable, scalable video infrastructure. And so our developer toolkit includes live streaming APIs, video on demand APIs, and video NFT minting tools. You can go to livepeer.studio and get started on all of those different products. So other than being a really cool technology, it's really cool that we figured out how to leverage excess GPU compute power, often on crypto mining rigs. Why else do we need decentralized Web3 video applications today? Well, I've alluded to this earlier, but the Web2 walled garden is a real problem for both developers and users and creators on the web who are forced to rely on a few centralized services and platforms. And it's really to cover the high cost of infrastructure. That's the reason why Google and Facebook and Amazon have to monetize user data and sell ads, because they're trying to cover their costs. YouTube had to sell to Google in 2008. Twitch sold to Amazon in 2014 because they couldn't generate enough revenue. Twitch is still running at a loss. YouTube continues to take about 55 cents on every dollar by a creator generated on its platform. And so we know the problems that this can lead to. From deplatforming, this is a tweet from Vitalik in 2019 when the Ethereum roadmap got taken down off YouTube for some reason. Bankless has been deplatformed from YouTube this year. We've had other prominent Web3 creators and builders being deplatformed from Twitter. These platforms, once you're deplatformed, they take your content and your follower base with them. And there are other just ways that developers can get locked in with really bad ramifications for creators. Patreon is a great example. Patreon has a deal with Vimeo, where Vimeo is the video hosting provider for all creators on the Patreon network. And recently, Vimeo changed its business strategy when it realized that independent creators were really expensive to host video for because their bandwidth costs are so high. And so a few months ago, Patreon creators got slapped with a notice from Vimeo saying, your annual bill is going to go from about $200 a year all the way up to $5,000 a year unless you decrease your bandwidth. So these are real problems. Amazon continues to take a really larger and larger cut from Twitch creators for the same reason. So there's a lot of scope for us to build new applications together. And yeah, the kind of equation here is really developers building with lower cost, open, decentralized, reliable infrastructure, and the composability around users owning and being able to bring their data with them to whatever platform, I think is where we can see the most exciting developments and innovations around Web3 applications. And so we've already been seeing a lot of really cool projects emerging in the LivePeer ecosystem. The Web3 the video toolkit at LivePeer can be used in a Web2 or Web3 context. It's chain agnostic. You can layer on whatever smart contract environment you'd like into video NFT minting or token-gated live streaming. We have the Lot Radio, Picardo, Inflow Music, a lot of DJ streaming, music applications. Beam is a Netflix-like video-on-demand platform. Huddle01 is a Web3 Zoom, and we're seeing a lot of innovation. Lens, which is obviously having a huge impact in reimagining what social applications in the web can look like. One example I want to highlight is a really cool partnership between LivePeer and the Ethereum Foundation, where we've been beta testing basically a YouTube alternative for the global ETH community to be able to stream and host videos. We demoed this at DevConnect in Amsterdam, and we'll be releasing a new version at DevCon in Bogota in October, and we'll also be streaming ETH Berlin in September on StreamETH as well. LivePeer is also now in the official repo for Decentraland, so you can stream into the metaverse, create scenes using LivePeer's infrastructure. LensTube is also powered by both Lens and LivePeer, and another YouTube-like experience where users, fully own their data and are able to monetize their content via the Collect module on Lens, and we're super excited to see more content creators coming in to the Lens ecosystem on LensTube. And thanks to my friend Christina from Lens for putting that slide together. And so we really get the opportunity for fair creator monetization when you create applications on a fully decentralized stack. This is another example from the 402. Earlier this week, they did a token-gated live stream with a creator who was able to, within an hour, make over $1,000, which he would normally have to do over about a month using Twitch. So there's lots of potential, and I'm really excited for the next wave of social and video and media applications to come out of Latin America. This region has among the highest usage of video and social media today, and I think the potential for creativity in this space is going to be incredible. And I'm super excited to announce that Sensei Node has just joined the LivePeer network as our first orchestrator in Latin America. And this is huge because for internet infrastructure and internet services, proximity and geolocation is hugely significant. And so now application developers and creators who are building on LivePeer and building Web3 applications have access to reliable infrastructure locally on your doorstep. And please stay tuned for much more that we're going to be doing in Latin America with Sensei Node as a partner, and really excited to be more involved in the region going forward. So join the Web3 video community. That's our Discord. And thank you so much.